begin to feel my stomach, and then I think I'm hungry. But I've heard the stories of other people who have been on retreats, and they imagine in every detail what they will eat and how they will eat it. And I don't know this. And where does this come from?
Where does this come from?
Yeah.
Who made you hungry? So hunger is a very good experience, you know, for people from comfortable countries, or bad for people in bad situations, you know. So I also, first time I did 3-week retreat, I was a layperson in Rhode Island. That time we only had 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, no tea, no coffee, not only water, no dinner. So that was the way we practiced. And so it was really easy to get hungry, you know, even though we were having 2 meals a day. You know. But so there was a big break between around noon until maybe 7 the next morning where we didn't have anything to eat. So it's very interesting. The first week of the retreat, I was like soon hungry all the time, you know. And I started to think after a couple days, you don't have this thinking yet maybe because you're not too hungry. Just a little bit, you know. Or maybe your mind is comfortable, you know. But I started to think what I would eat after the retreat, you know. And so I was thinking, oh, I go to, that time we had, Dunkin' Donuts in Korea is pretty good. In America it's really terrible. But I'm thinking, I'll go to Dunkin' Donuts. And I don't want the donut, but I want the muffins. And I'm thinking about all the things that I could eat. Then 1 week goes by, and it's like I'm trying to do mantra and, you know, breathe in, breathe out, and look at the floor. But I'm thinking all the time about what I want to eat. Even I eat lunch, afterwards, right away hungry. So, after 1 week, that started to calm down, and instead, this thing appeared in my mind, because I was still a layman. It's like, what am I going to do with my life, you know? What's going to be my career? I already had a career track that I'd thrown away, and it's like, what can I do with my life, you know? Then, while I'm sitting, I thought, I got an idea. I'll open a restaurant. Human being's mind is so funny, you know? I managed to put career and food together. So, you know, your own mind, if you sit with it long enough, it's funnier than any television. So then I spent a week thinking about, you know, I'll open a vegetarian restaurant downtown in Rhode Island near the university. And I had even seen this restaurant where they took paper plates. They didn't have a menu. And they write the menu on the paper plates and put them all over the walls. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll do that, you know? And then I thought, how can I help the Zen Center? Well, we could take the leftovers from the Zen Center and make a soup every day, like a special vegetarian. And I spent a week planning all that. And the most interesting part was the menu part. Of course, I was the design, the tablecloths, everything. So, now 2 weeks, thinking all the time about food, you know. Then I remember one evening after 2 weeks, we're sitting, and for some reason the retreats then seemed so much harder than they you know. Of course, now I'm not in meditation all the time, but even when I was some years later, it seemed like that was much harder. But maybe that's how you feel at the start. But anyway, it's cold and it's sort of dark winter, and we had very little variety of food. Like I said, just this meal, that was it. No special drinks, nothing, you know. And I'm sitting in the evening, and I'm really hungry, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, why all this thinking about food, you know? Then right underneath us, our Zen hall was part of the Zen Center. But the retreat area was separate from the everyday Zen center, but it was right on top of it. It was the second floor. And we didn't meet the people underneath. We had a separate way out. Underneath, the Zen students, they practice in the morning, eat, and go to work. And right underneath the meditation room was a room that had a couple, friends of mine, who were married and they had a baby. And the baby was about 1 year old. And while we're sitting that night, I'm like going like, why all this thinking about food? And then I hear the baby underneath going, ninny, 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 ninny. And I know what he meant by ninny. Ninny was his word for his mother's breast. So he wanted his mother's breast. Then I'm sitting there thinking, that kid's getting the food he wants, but I'm not getting anything. It's like, he's getting milk, but I'm not getting anything. And then suddenly, the floor became so bright and clear. It was like for the first time in 2 weeks, everything was clear. I'm hungry, I'm not getting anything, and the carpet's blue. It's like all 3 points were brilliantly clear. That was the truth. It took 2 weeks to come down from all this thinking to actually feeling hunger here. You know? It all was in my head before. It was hunger, but it was like, I want. Finally, it was just like, whoa, I'm hungry, I'm not getting anything. You know, the thinking was bullshit, and the floor's blue. Then I did about 2 or 3 days of hunger practicing, and then the hunger went away, even though the food stayed the same. But it was interesting because it's like, it's not pleasant to be really hungry. It's the first time in my life I experienced that. And I thought I could walk out of here any moment I want. And I could get food downstairs, I got money in the room, I can go away. But a lot of people cannot do anything about their situation, and they have this feeling. You know? So this hunger helps your life. It will help your life a lot. You know? Even just the smallest taste of compassion from that suffering. So hunger is a great teacher. There's an old saying, when cold and hungry, path appears. Food is so primary, and it's related to many emotions. And we humans use food often when we can't deal or don't want to try and deal with unpleasant emotions. But if you can put that aside and be moderate and relate to the emotions that appear, then you'll benefit a lot. You know, I had a hard time with food the first few retreats. And finally, one Kilche, I sort of got pissed off at myself about it. And at the beginning of the retreat, I took a nail and I took the second bowl, because the first bowl is only rice, but the second bowl we can mix everything. And I drew a line inside the bowl. And I decided every meal, I'm going to fill it up to that line, no matter what's served, and eat that. And then I did that the whole winter. Soup, rice, salad, anything that appeared, I just fill it up to the line and eat it. And after that, food wasn't so much a problem for me. I went through all kinds of emotions, like I'd be sitting thinking sometimes, I should just fast for a long week, you know. Or, you know, oh, today it's curry rice, I like that. You know, if I take more, I'll have more energy. And I just fill it up to the same line every single day, every meal. And afterwards, food wasn't such a big deal.